Well, I want to talk today about one of my favorite subjects, which is home improvement. And I want to go back to one of the most ancient stories I know about home improvement, an old fable, which I think probably was the first commercial for the Builders Guild in Europe at some ancient time. And most likely it was a commercial for the Brick Builders Guild. And that is the ancient story of the Three Little Pigs. And I'm going to kind of refresh your memories about the Three Little Pigs, and then I'm going to do a metaphysical interpretation of that story, because I think there's a lot in there of truth that we can use today. It's not just about building houses in that sense of a home improvement. It's about improving this home that we live in all the time and making it a better place for us. So as you know, the story goes that there were three little pigs. Once upon a time, there's all these stories that begin. There were three little pigs. As soon as you hear once upon a time in any of those, your mind immediately suspends reality. It's gone. Reality is out the window, and whatever comes next is okay with every one of us. Once upon a time, there were three little pigs, and they decided they wanted to build their own homes. So the first pig, of course, goes into a man who he sees with a lot of straw, and he says, "Hey, mister, can I have some of your straw?" And the man says, "Sure," for some reason, and he just gives him the straw. And so the little pig fashions a house out of straw. The second little pig sees a man with a bundle of sticks, a pretty large bundle, evidently, and he says, "Can I have some of your sticks?" And the man says, "Yes, you can have my sticks." You notice that there's always a man who has the sticks and a pig talking to the man and asking questions. And the man understands completely what's going on here and says, "Sure, you can have them." And so he gives them to him, and the second pig fashions a home from sticks. The third pig goes to a man who has bricks and says, "Hey, you got any extra bricks?" The man says, "Sure, here you go." He builds a house from the bricks. And so they're living, I guess, close enough to one another. As the story unfolds, we'll see that this is possible. Maybe all on one lot, and they've subdivided it. I don't know. The story doesn't tell us that part. But the three pigs are living in their houses, one of straw, one of sticks, one of brick. And along comes the big bad wolf. He comes to the first house, the straw house, and he says, little pig, let me come in." And strangely enough, they all say the same thing, and they know this as though they've been waiting for a wolf to come along. Because they say, "Not by the hair on my chinny chin chin. Then I'll huff and I'll puff," says the wolf, "and I'll blow your house in." And he huffs and he puffs. And he gets himself all worked up, and he blows on this straw house, and sure enough, it's just gone in an instant. The little pig is standing there looking, what happened to my house? And he runs to his brother's house or sister's house. We don't know that part of the story either. It's not important, I guess. He runs to the next pig's house, and they hide out there under the house made of sticks. The wolf comes over to that house. Why he didn't just grab the little pig, I don't know, but he didn't. He let him run away and then walked nonchalantly over to the next house. From this house, he starts the same little mantra. Little pig, I guess it used to be little pigs, let me come in. And they say in unison, "Not by the hair on my chinny chin chin." Now, so either this is someone who's a female with a bit of a hormone problem, or it is two male pigs, right? Hair on their chinny chin chin, and they huff and he puffs and he blows their house in, and sure enough, the house of sticks just falls over, and they immediately run to the next house, the third house, the house made of bricks. And of course, we know that the wolf shows up there and says, little pigs, let me come in." And in unison, maybe even in harmony, they say, "Not by the hair on my chinny chin chin." And immediately he says, "I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in." And he gets back and he huffs and he puffs and he blows, and the house doesn't fall down. So he huffs and he puffs again, and the house doesn't fall down. And we know from Disney that they're inside singing a song. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf, the big bad wolf? And they're just having a great time. They're just relaxed inside this home made of bricks. And he huffs and he puffs and he can't blow the house down. Now, in modern times, that's the end of the story. In ancient times, the wolf climbs up the chimney and tries to go down the chimney to get to them, and instead falls into a pot of boiling water. And the three pigs have wolf for dinner. A little different story. A little more gruesome, but that's the way things used to be long ago. But the story makes its point when he huffs and he puffs and he can't blow the house down. That's actually when the story makes its final, most important point. So now I want to do a metaphysical interpretation of these stories. I want to start with these three little pigs. Three little creatures in each and every one of us. They dwell in each and every one of us. One of them, one of these creatures, is sort of a dreamer and believes that something as elemental as straw can support us. That's the part in each one of us that relies on our dreams and our fantasies and just lives in that dream and fantasy world. But when the first hint of adversity comes along, it immediately blows all of our dreams and our fantasies and our inside feelings that we have about ourselves and what's going on in our life, and it changes everything for us. It's just, we're blown away. And we have nowhere to go except into the next realm of consciousness. The next realm of consciousness is a house made of sticks. And we immediately go there because we realize at some point in our life as we evolve that we can't live just in this little fantasy dream world where we are playing like everything is okay. You know, I once remember that I had watched lots of what we call them cowboy movies, westerns. And in these westerns, some good guy would capture one of the rustlers or the bad guys, and he would take him over to his friends and he'd say, "Here, hold him for me while I go get the rest of these guys." And these guys would just say, "Okay," and the next scene. And they'd show him right on a horse and he would go to the next part and he would have the rest of the adventure. So I was out playing one day, and I captured one of the guys who had decided to be one of the bad guys. You know, we sort of divided up and we were pretending. We were living in our house of straw. And I captured him. He was running and I caught up with him and I grabbed him. And I took him by the scruff of the neck, and I took him, just like I'd seen in the cowboy movies, and I took him over to another boy's house. And I said to him, I opened the little chain link fence gate, put him in there and said, "Hold him for me till I get back." And I closed the door and ran back to get the rest of the guys who had decided to be the outlaws in our little game we were playing that day. When I came back to get the first outlaw, he wasn't there. And I realized, and was pretty much blown away, this isn't real. This doesn't work in reality like it does in the movies. He didn't stay there. He just left. And then I saw him later, and he was with the rest of the guys. And very much the same way where we used to play out on the playground, and we play like we're shooting one another. Somebody would get shot, and somebody else would run up to them and say, "Doctor, doctor, doctor," and touch them, and they could jump up again. You know, they were alive again. They did this on my playground anyway, by saying, "Doctor, doctor, doctor," 3 times, and you were well. "Oh, I'm no longer dead. I didn't get shot." No. It's all play. It's play. But for a while in our lives, we live in this world of play. We think it's just as real as any other world, and we're amazed when this adversity comes to us and wakes us up from it and makes us realize that the house of straw that we have built around play, make-believe, fantasy, and dreams doesn't always work out. It doesn't hold up. So we immediately turn to something else. Now that something else is represented in this story about a house of sticks. What could possibly be a house of sticks? Well, a house of sticks has somewhat of a structure to it, but it's a little rickety. It doesn't quite hold up as well. But what's it built on? What are those sticks? So I started thinking about what a stick is good for. A stick is good at pointing. A stick is good for hitting. And a stick is good for burning. That's the three. There may be more things sticks are good for, but that's the three things that and building, I guess, to some degree. And those are the things that I came up with. Pointing. This is when we live in our victim mode. Something on the outside blew away my home, my structure that I had built for myself, and I want to blame somebody. I have my stick. I am pointing at the world. Because it's not my fault. Everything would be fine if the rest of you would just do what I want you to do. Just like the little boy who wouldn't stay in the backyard when I had captured him. There's not only that, but there's also the idea of I am going to punish you with my stick by holding on to resentments and unforgiving attitudes in my life. And I'm going to build a structure around being a victim who needs to punish others and needs to be right all the time. And to be right, that means I have to make you wrong. And to be a victim, somebody has to be my perpetrator. And I have to constantly have this struggle back and forth between good and evil, good and evil, good and evil. And always seeing myself on the side of good, no matter what. No matter what. Even if I am the perpetrator of my own dilemma, I still will look for someone else to point at, to hit, either literally or figuratively in the sense of resentment. I will do this, and I will build a flimsy structure for myself until some greater adversity comes along and causes me to get out of that because it gets blown away again. Now, the two parts of my life, the fantasy part, which isn't dead, it isn't dead at all. It wasn't devoured by adversity. It was just caused to shift. It shifts along with this victimhood that I have created for myself, and it shifts over to the person that I become when my house is made of bricks. So what are these bricks? What is it that holds them together? Why is it so strong? I think it's when we realize truths and precepts and ideas that are based on truth that we can build one upon the other until we create a structure in our mind and for our outer being which is solid and which nothing, it's totally sustainable. Nothing can bring it down. No matter how much huffing and puffing the outside world does, it just doesn't fall down. And the thing that glues all these bricks together, like the mortar for the whole thing, is spirit. It's love. It's understanding. It's compassion. It's dealing with each one of these adversities in our lives that comes along, and it keeps everything glued together. It's faith. It's knowing. It's a knowing in ourselves, deep within, that nothing can change who we truly are or who we have become. Now, we still carry around in us a dreamer. We still carry around in us one who still needs to be healed from the resentments that it carries. but we have two other beings within ourselves to help that person within ourselves heal. We carry within ourselves a knowledge within us that is stronger than anything on the outside. And we carry within us this idea of dreaming, which still has hope. It still carries about an idea that everything can be renewed and everything's going to be okay. And it helps heal that inside of ourselves that we allowed ourselves to become. That blamer, the one who is constantly in need of help from the outside. It changes. It modifies us because we're living in a house that can't be knocked down. It can't be destroyed. And so we can say to all the outside things in our lives that are coming along, blow as you will, try as you might, you cannot move me. I'm immovable. Jesus had a story somewhat like this. It was a parable about a house built on sand and a house built on rock. He didn't have pigs living in them, but he did have this idea that when things assail us from the outside, if we are built on a solid foundation, everything on the outside is able to be handled by us in our lives. So these three little pigs, they are each one of us. It's me, myself, and I. Each one of us can carry with us this idea. Where are you living right now? Are you living in your dream world where everything that happens in the outer world blows you away? Are you living in your little stick structure? Do you live in there where you constantly need to be finding somebody to blame for other things? Or do you feel some kind of sadness inside yourself or anger that you're still holding on to after all this time that still allows you to live in a rickety structure that only appears to be real? Or have you moved beyond that? And are you living with your full self, the three parts of yourself, in a way that is healthy, that keeps you in a place where you can actually heal, move on, improve? If that's possible, then you are in a situation to actually create some home improvement in your life. Use your dreamer to say, wouldn't it be nice if it looked like this inside here? Use the one who has been a blamer to say, you know, I've had experiences that now I can turn around and I can use those experiences for some good in my life. I can start seeing that the people I've been blaming were doing the very best they could at the time, and that it's not always about me. When we get to that place, then we can start turning around and healing the one who lives in the stick structure. And we can become at home with and a party for these other two parts of ourselves. You know, it would have been so easy for that third little pig to say, you had your choices, you had your chance. Too bad. I'm going to live in here by myself. But that's not the nature of the third little person that we are. The third little person's nature is to accept all just as they are, allow them to come in so that we can all grow together. So it's not for us to try to destroy our ego, but rather reform that which has once been something that seemed like a good idea at the time, but no longer does it serve us. We can take that ego and we can transform it to something else. We can take that which has been feeling like the world is against me, and we can transform that into something else. But to do that, we have to have acceptance for all the parts of our lives. Three little pigs, they all lived happily ever after. God bless.